Hey everyone, welcome back to Vinay's Academy. I'm Vinay Varma, and today we're talking about something that's becoming a must know for every tester out there: AWS, Amazon Web Services. We're going to dive into the key AWS skills that both manual and automation testers should know. These are skills that'll help you stay ahead of the curve in the cloud era. So, whether you're new to cloud services or looking to brush up on your knowledge, this video is for you. Let's get started. All right. So the first service on the list is CloudWatch. Now, what is CloudWatch? It's a monitoring service that lets you view logs and track performance metrics for your applications. For testers, CloudWatch is super useful, especially when it comes to log analysis. You can pull up logs, filter them, and even set up alerts when things go wrong. For example, you can quickly identify errors or performance issues without diving into server logs manually. So, what should you learn? You don't need to be an expert coder here. Just understanding basic log queries is enough to filter logs and spot the information you need. This is helpful for manual testers too. You don't need to code. Just knowing how to view and filter logs makes debugging faster. For automation testers, CloudWatch integrates well with your scripts, so you can monitor logs in real time after running your tests. That's a huge time saver when you're debugging. Before AWS, testers had to manually access logs on servers or use third party tools. CloudWatch centralizes everything in one place and makes it easy to access logs from anywhere. That's a big win for testers. Next up, we have S3 buckets. So, what's S3? It's basically AWS's cloud storage service, and you can store anything there: data, files, reports, you name it. For testers, especially automation testers, S3 is great for storing your automation reports. You can configure your tests to upload logs or reports to an S3 bucket after they run. This way, all your test results are centralized and you can access them from anywhere. You can also use it to store large amounts of test data. Now, manual testers can use S3 too. You can store big data sets or even test documentation in an S3 bucket and share it with your team easily. Before cloud storage like S3, we used to store reports on local servers or shared drives. This was often limited and not scalable. With S3, you can store as much as you need, and it's always accessible. Plus, no more worrying about running out of storage space. Moving on, let's talk about step functions. This one's a bit more specific to automation testers. Step functions help you orchestrate workflows, meaning they help you automate a series of tasks. Let's say you have a few different test suites that need to run in sequence. With step functions, you can set up workflows to trigger those tests automatically. Once one test finishes, it'll automatically trigger the next, saving you time and manual effort. You don't have to be a pro to use step functions. Just knowing how to set up basic workflows can be a game changer for automation. Before using step functions, most testers would manually trigger their tests or use external tools to run test sequences. Step functions simplify that by providing an automated workflow right within AWS. Now let's talk about AWS Lambda. If you're looking to run small automation tasks without managing any servers, Lambda is your go-to service. So what is Lambda? It's AWS's serverless computing service. Basically, you write a bit of code and Lambda runs it for you whenever it's needed. No need to set up or maintain a server. For automation testers, this is a huge advantage. You can trigger tests in response to events, like when a new feature is pushed to production. And because Lambda scales automatically, you don't need to worry about server maintenance. For manual testers, while you may not use Lambda directly, understanding how it triggers automated tests will help you collaborate better with your team. In the pre AWS world, we used dedicated servers to run automation jobs, which required constant management. Lambda eliminates the need for that, making testing much more scalable and efficient. Next, we've got DynamoDB. This is a NoSQL database service provided by AWS. It's fully managed and super fast, which makes it a great choice for storing test data. For manual testers, you can use DynamoDB to store test data or configurations. It's quick and easy to set up, and you don't need heavy database management skills to get started. For automation testers, DynamoDB is great for dynamic test cases. You can store test data in the database and retrieve it dynamically during your automation tests. This makes your test scripts more flexible and adaptable to different scenarios. Before services like DynamoDB, setting up and managing databases was a pain. You'd need a dedicated database server, and scaling it was often tricky. With DynamoDB, AWS handles all of that for you. Finally, we have AWS CodePipeline. Now, if you're into continuous integration and want to automate the testing process as part of your build and deployment cycle, this is the tool you need. CodePipeline lets you create pipelines where your automation tests can be triggered as soon as code is pushed or after a build completes. It's great for automation testers who want to integrate testing into the deployment workflow. Before AWS, we used to rely on separate CI/CD tools to run our test pipelines. With CodePipeline, everything is integrated within AWS, making it smoother and faster. So, if you want to ensure that tests are run consistently and in sync with deployments, learning CodePipeline is a must. And that's it. As you can see, AWS offers a ton of services that can really help testers, whether you're working manually or automating your tests. From storing logs and test data to automating workflows and scaling without servers, AWS makes everything more efficient. Before AWS, managing these processes was more manual and resource heavy. But with AWS, everything's in the cloud, which makes it scalable, efficient, and accessible. So if you haven't started learning these AWS services yet, now's the time to do it. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like the video, subscribe to WinRace Academy, and don't forget to leave a comment below if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover next. Until then, see you in the next video.